Today we're going to discuss two ways in which evolution can be proven, even if you choose not to believe Charles Darwin. Let's discuss a little bit of thermodynamics and the purity of scientific fields in today's episode of I Read That Somewhere. Let's start with a concept that you probably already know but don't really understand the gravity of. I'm talking about the second law of thermodynamics, and I'll get to what I mean by that in a minute. But first, let's talk about an experiment that was conducted in the 1950s by two people called Miller and Urey. The experiment was conducted to see if we could reproduce the creation of life from the conditions of early Earth, and it turned out they could actually do so by pouring chemicals together and adding a little bit of energy flow. But this was possible because of the second law of thermodynamics that says that a very hot object dissipates energy faster than a not so hot object. Like hot water cools down faster than cool water. Yeah, and that essentially means that a very low entropy object absorbs entropy from its surroundings. That means that we tend to gravitate towards low entropy in a whole, and life in all forms is essentially a very low entropy object. Low entropy means low energy, and the organisms that are able to dissipate energy faster are have low entropy. So a two-celled organism is more efficient than a one-celled organism in dissipating energy, and hence we tended to gravitate towards building more and more complicated structures. And this gravitation of ours towards going towards low entropy and dissipating more and more energy is why we are compelled to do what we do. This is the underlying reason why we feel a drive, why we care about our offsprings, our species, and even other species. Because at the lowest possible level, on a cellular level, we feel connected through the selection process that led to us. The entropy driven evolution is probably the reason that we feel a desire to believe that there's a higher power, simply because we want least chaos and a universal solution. So all in all, we don't need to know if the fittest survives. We have hot water to tell us that. Now let's move on and try and understand evolution through a perspective of how we came about to study the universe. So there's a concept called purity of field, which means that the more logical a scientific field is, the more pure it is. For example, mathematics is completely logical and is not derived from any other field, so it's the most pure field there is. The least pure field is sociology because it is completely derived and is not at all logical at the same time. So if we move in descending order of purity, then we go from sociology, that is applied psychology. Psychology is applied biology. Biology is applied chemistry. Chemistry is applied physics, and physics is applied mathematics. And mathematics is not derived from any other field of study. The interesting thing about this order of purity is that these fields came about in the same order, as in they were classified as fields of study in exactly the same order of their purity. For example, maths was the first field of study to be discovered, and the latest addition in these fields of study is sociology. The reason why I chose to discuss these two theories with you today is not only because they're cool to know, but also because they give us a slight reassurance that things will make sense eventually. Just give it some time. Thank you for listening. See you in the next one.